Hey guys, welcome back to Test Drive Tuesday. Today, we're going to talk about one of the most important steps in the entire selling process, fact-finding. I truly believe that the quality of the questions you ask will determine the quality of the information you receive, and the quality of the information you receive will determine how well you can serve your customer. Information is power. The more you know about your customer, the better you're positioned to recommend the right vehicle, build value, overcome objections before they happen, and ultimately earn their business. The goal isn't simply to ask questions. The goal is to understand your customer. And one of the best tools for accomplishing that is a professional guest sheet. Take this seriously. Mastering fact-finding is one of the biggest differences between average salespeople and true professionals. The better your questions, the better your presentation. The better your presentation, the better your chances of earning the customer's business. When you know what your customer wants, why they're shopping, how they plan on using the vehicle, and what their priorities are, the rest of the selling process becomes much easier. Instead of guessing, you're making recommendations based on facts. That's what professionals do. If your dealership uses a guest sheet, make sure you're using it with every customer. Become familiar with it. Know it inside and out. Remember, questions equal control, and the guest sheet helps guide both you and your customer through a professional sales process. It also keeps you from forgetting important information that could come back later in the sales process. Think about it. How many times have salespeople spent an hour or more with a customer only to discover that another decision maker wasn't there, or the customer needed third-row seating, or towing capability, or leather seats, or something else that should have been uncovered during fact-finding? A professional guest sheet helps eliminate those surprises. If your dealership doesn't currently use one, don't worry. I've included the professional guest sheet that I personally use inside the Make Up Your Mind to Sell platform. It's clean, simple, easy to follow, and designed to keep you organized while helping you build rapport and gather the information you need. Don't look at the guest sheet as paperwork. Look at it as your roadmap. It keeps both you and your customer moving in the same direction. In my opinion, a good guest sheet accomplishes three important things. First, it captures your customer's contact information. That may sound obvious, but complete and accurate information is critical for follow-up. Without it, you can't continue the relationship if the customer leaves without purchasing. Second, it builds rapport. Remember, people buy from people they like and trust. Every question you ask tells the customer you're interested in them, not just the vehicle they're buying. Great salespeople build relationships long before they present numbers. Third, it helps establish a realistic budget range so you can select the right vehicle from the very beginning. Nothing frustrates a customer more than falling in love with a vehicle that doesn't fit their budget. Likewise, showing someone a vehicle that doesn't have the equipment they wanted wastes everyone's time. The better your fact-finding, the better your vehicle selection. When used correctly, the guest sheet saves time, reduces mistakes, and creates a much more professional experience for both you and your customer. Those three things alone make it one of the most valuable tools you can use on the showroom floor. Now let's talk about the questions themselves. Whether your guest sheet already includes these questions or not, I recommend making them part of your natural conversation. Don't make it sound like an interview. Make it feel like two people simply having a conversation. The order isn't important. The information is. Remember, you're not just filling out a form. You're getting to know another person. Listen carefully to their answers. Very often, what they say between the questions is just as valuable as the answers themselves. Your customer will often tell you exactly how to sell them if you're willing to listen. Here are the questions I recommend asking every customer. Question number 1. Is this vehicle for you or is it for someone else? This question accomplishes several things. First, it tells you who the actual driver will be. Second, it helps you determine whose needs are most important during the presentation. If it's for a spouse, a son or daughter, or another family member, you'll want to spend time discussing the features that matter most to that person. Never assume the person standing in front of you is the one who will be driving the vehicle every day. Understanding who the primary driver is allows you to customize your presentation right from the beginning. Question number 2. Why are you in the market for a new vehicle? This is one of the most valuable questions you can ask. It uncovers the customer's motivation. Are they tired of repair bills? Do they need more room? Has their family grown? Are they looking for better fuel economy? Do they simply want something newer? Maybe their lease is ending. Maybe they've accepted a new job. Maybe they're preparing for retirement. Everyone has a reason for shopping. The answer gives you direction for your entire presentation. When you know why they're shopping, you know what problems you're trying to solve. And sales, at its core, is simply helping people solve problems. Question number 3. What features are most important to you in your next vehicle? This question identifies the customer's hot buttons. Some customers care about safety, others care about technology. Some want towing capability, others want fuel economy, luxury, comfort, reliability, or cargo space. Instead of presenting every feature on the vehicle, focus on the ones your customer told you were important. People buy what they value. When you spend your time discussing the features they care about most, your presentation becomes much more meaningful. Question number 4. Do you prefer lighter or darker colors? This may seem like a simple question, but it's actually much more important than many salespeople realize. One of your responsibilities is to narrow the customer's choices, not expand them. The more vehicles you show, the more difficult the buying decision becomes. Customers can quickly become overwhelmed when they're presented with too many options. By asking whether they prefer lighter or darker colors, you immediately begin eliminating vehicles that don't fit their preferences. That saves time for both you and your customer. Remember, your goal isn't to show every vehicle on the lot. Your goal is to show the right vehicle. Question number 5. Do you prefer cloth or leather interior? Again, this question helps narrow your vehicle selection, but it also gives you insight into what's important to your customer. Some customers love leather because of the appearance, comfort, or ease of cleaning. Others prefer cloth because it stays cooler in the summer, warmer in the winter, or simply because they like it better. There isn't a right or wrong answer. The important thing is that you know their preference before you begin your walk-around presentation. Every answer helps you customize your presentation. Question number 6. How do you plan on using the vehicle? This question is extremely important because it tells you how the customer intends to use their new vehicle. Will they be commuting to work every day? Will they be transporting children? Will they be taking long road trips? Will they be towing a trailer or boat? Will they be using it for business? Or are they simply looking for something dependable to get them from point A to point B? Once you understand how the vehicle will be used, you'll know exactly which features deserve the most attention during your walk-around and demonstration drive. Again, you're customizing your presentation instead of giving everyone the exact same one. Question number 7. Will anyone else be involved in the decision? This is another one of my favorite questions. Never be surprised at the end of the sale. One of the biggest mistakes salespeople make is finding out after they've invested 2 or 3 hours that someone else still needs to see the vehicle. If another decision maker is involved, it's much better to know now than later. If possible, invite that person to the dealership before moving too far into the process. The more decision makers you have present, the smoother your presentation and negotiation usually become. This one question can save you a tremendous amount of time. Question number 8. What's more important to you? Staying within your budget or finding the vehicle with the right equipment? This is probably my favorite question on the entire guest sheet. The answer immediately tells you how to structure the rest of your presentation. If the customer says the equipment is more important, you'll know to spend more time building value around the features and benefits they asked for. If they say staying within their budget is more important, you'll know to carefully match them with vehicles that comfortably fit within that price range. Either answer is perfectly fine. You're simply allowing the customer to tell you what matters most to them. This question also prevents you from making assumptions. Instead of guessing what's important, you're asking. And asking is always better than assuming. Question number 9. Do you live or work nearby? At first glance, this may seem like a simple location question, but it actually opens the door to discussing the value of your dealership. If they live or work nearby, you can talk about the convenience of having their vehicle serviced close to home or work. If they don't live nearby, you can explain why customers drive from all over the area to do business with your dealership. Either way, you're building value in the dealership itself, not just the vehicle. Remember, customers don't just choose a vehicle. They also choose where they're going to buy it and where they'll service it. Question number 10. Is there anything else I need to know? I love ending with this question. It's open-ended. It gives the customer permission to share information they may not have thought about mentioning earlier. Sometimes they'll tell you about credit concerns. Sometimes they'll mention another dealership they're planning to visit. Sometimes they'll tell you about a trade payoff. Sometimes they'll tell you another decision maker still needs to approve the purchase. Sometimes they'll tell you something completely unexpected that changes the direction of the conversation. Open-ended questions uncover information that closed questions often miss. And remember, the more information you have, the better prepared you are to serve your customer. Obviously, there may be additional questions specific to your dealership, but these 10 questions will help establish rapport, uncover your customer's needs, and get the conversation moving in the right direction. Commit these questions to memory. The more natural they sound, the more comfortable your customer will become. Comfortable conversations lead to confident buying decisions. establishing the initial investment. Now let's talk about the customer's initial investment. Notice, I didn't say down payment. I prefer the words initial investment because they sound much more professional. Customers respond differently, depending on how we present our questions. Here's a word track that works well. Mr. Buyer, most of our customers typically make an initial investment somewhere between $4,000 and $6,000. Is that what you were thinking, or were you planning to invest a little more? Another approach is to use percentages. Mr. Buyer, most of our customers typically invest somewhere between 5 and 10%. Is that what you were thinking, or were you planning to invest a little more? As always, follow your dealership's guidelines regarding the actual dollars and percentages you use. One important thought: never simply ask, "So, how much do you want to put down?" Because many customers will immediately answer, "Nothing." Remember, you're leading the conversation. The words you choose determine the answers you receive. Another thing to remember is that we're simply trying to establish a realistic range. We're not negotiating. We're not asking for a commitment. We're simply gathering information so we can recommend the right vehicle. Discussing the monthly budget. Now let's shift gears and talk about monthly budget. Again, notice the wording. I don't like using the word payment. I prefer the words monthly budget because they're much friendlier and much less intimidating. Try saying something like this. Mr. Buyer, on this vehicle that's 4 years newer than the one you're currently driving, what monthly budget have you set aside? Or, Mr. Buyer, on this brand new vehicle, what monthly budget were you planning for each month? When they answer, immediately follow it with 2 simple words. Up to? For example, the customer says, "I'm thinking around $600 a month." You simply respond, "600 up to?" You'll be surprised how often customers increase their own monthly budget without you ever negotiating. Now remember, we're not negotiating. They haven't selected a vehicle. They haven't experienced your walk around. They haven't taken a demonstration drive. All we're doing is establishing a realistic price range so we can select the right vehicle from the very beginning. Once you've built value through a professional features and benefits presentation and a demonstration drive, customers are often much more comfortable increasing both their initial investment and their monthly budget. Never forget this principle. Value must always come before price. The guest sheet simply helps you establish a ballpark range so you can put your customer on the right vehicle the first time. Let's wrap this up. The questions you ask provide a service that many customers never receive. Your questions help you understand your customers' wants, needs, and expectations. They help you recommend the right vehicle. They help build rapport. And they keep you in control of the sales process. Remember, questions equal control. A professional guest sheet isn't just another piece of paper. It's one of the most valuable sales tools you'll ever use. Master it, memorize it, use it with every customer. You'll become more organized, more confident, and you'll consistently put your customers on the right vehicle from the very beginning. If you found today's discussion helpful, be sure to subscribe to the Make Up Your Mind to Sell YouTube channel. And don't forget to join me every Test Drive Tuesday, where we take one complete sales or management topic and break it down into practical techniques you can immediately use on your showroom floor. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next Tuesday.